Um, okay, so where we left off, you and the woman from the subway,
Yeah.
we're gonna meet on Tuesday.
Yes. But it was still only Thursday. My bike was broken and I didn't want to be on the subway on such a nice day, so I walked from here, walked down Flatbush and walked over Manhattan Bridge. And when I was on Manhattan Bridge, I was feeling very inspired and like really good. And I was like, I'm gonna call her now. I don't really care. And so I called her, and I was like standing on like the peak of the bridge, like the highest point of the bridge. The sun was shining on the water, and I called her, and she was like, "Good morning." Yes. I was like, "Hey, it's Mike from the subway," and she's like, "Oh, hey, whatever," and I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm just gonna be walking by your place soon. I wanted to see if you want to have a morning coffee." And she's like, "That's so cool." I was like, "All right, well," and she was like, "Oh, I have an audition, so I can't, but I can meet you for lunch or whatever, and meet me at Union Square." Call her, I was like, "Where are you?" She's like, I'm by like the steps where all the skaters are, and like sort of in the south end of the park, and I'm like right next to all these wonderful clowns. Like, when I show up, she's like taking pictures of this like troupe of clowns that were like performing on the street, and it was like this really awkward. She was like, "Hey," and she like comes, like gives me a kiss on the cheek, but she's like, "Hold on, I'm like taking pictures of these clowns," and I was just like I was just like standing there, and I was like trying to like laugh at the clowns and be like so finally she like finished these pictures with the clowns, and really she's, I don't know, kind of one of a kind. It's like really hard to sort of like capture like the sort of like weird energy there was between us. Like, I don't mean like good energy. Just from the beginning, there's this weird thing where like, yes, she's like very sexy and very like, she was like looking really good. She had just come from this audition for some like TV serial or something like that, and it was just like, apparently it went really well. Is this okay so far?
Yeah, it's really good.
Is this still on?
Huh?
Is this still filming?
No, I don't think so.
Dazzling smile, like attractive, but like strange. Spring break in New York in the fall. Spring. Yeah, so that scene was really weird. It was like lunchtime on the little like flat sort of stairs on Union Square South, like hundreds of people there. She's just like very attractive, and I don't want to say she's like totally pretty, but like she's very attractive, like presence, bright blonde hair, and it's just like very like sociable and like talking to people and like going up to these clowns and like taking all these pictures. And I felt like everyone was like looking at us like the whole time we were like on this little date. So I was just like kind of like trying to like adapt to her like way of thinking and speaking and just kind of like go along with it. Like, oh, this is really like kind of awkward but interesting. And so we went to get some sushi on 17th Street, and like she was like, "Oh, because it was your birthday the other day, I'm gonna like buy you all." She has a huge appetite. Like, I felt like her appetite was even like bigger than mine, and she was like, "I'll pay." And we got like $35 of sushi. She was like, "I don't want to sit on the benches in Union Square," and like, do you know? I mean, you know how on Union Square North there's like that pavilion, and
Yeah.
there's sort of like a restaurant there. I've never gone to that restaurant, but she like insisted that we were gonna sit with our sushi in the restaurant, like, which was like empty at the time, like they were like closed or something. But we were gonna like go through and like sit in the restaurant and like eat our sushi. And I was like, what? You know, we can just like go sit on a bench. It's like not a big deal. But she like worked her like charm on like the maintenance staff of like the restaurant. And they like opened it and like, and she was like, come on. And I was like, what? You know, like this is kind of weird. Like forcing ourselves into this restaurant. And she's like, no, come on. Like, you know, I'll order a drink. There was like some, it wasn't even clear that they were open. We did sit down to eat. That's when she took hold of my hands and was like, can we say grace? She's like, I'm sorry, I know it's cheesy, but I'm just like religious and we need to say grace before eating our sushi at this like restaurant like in Union Square. We're not on the same page at all, but like I'm still like weirdly attracted to her and like intrigued, and I'm just like gonna keep going. And finally like one of the waitresses who was like setting up the restaurant was like, sorry, like you can't just like come in with your food and like eat here. And I was like, all right, let's go. And she was like, oh, come on, like no one's here. Like she made like a thing out of it. So we get booted out of the restaurant and we go and we finally sit on a bench. And I was like, this is cool. The whole reason the war came up was that there was an anti-war protest. They were like, there's going to be an anti-war protest in the park that day. So like, she's like, oh, there's going to be an anti-war protest. And then she was like, dare I ask you about your politics? I was like, you know what? You know, maybe I shouldn't get into a discussion about politics. But one thing I can say is that, like, I'm definitely anti-Bush, and I thought the war was, like, biggest mistake. And, like, really catastrophic. And things are much worse because of Bush. I kind of lost it. Like, I kind of lost my patience with it. I was trying to just go along with it and be like, all right, come on, let's get past the politics and just, like, start bullshitting. But I just think it's, like, it's absolutely impossible to like justify Bush or like defend him in any way. It's just like so clear that he's been like catastrophic like influence in the world. And she was like, well, like you know, he's a family friend, and like when you insult him, you're insulting me. I was like, family friend? Like, no, I like, you know, maybe he's a good family friend, but he's like the worst president ever. What was I gonna say? Yeah, she was like, one reason I can't have any boyfriends is because like I bring a lot of boyfriends home and they like clash with my brother so much. Apparently he was kind of an interesting character to think about. He's like this chronically unemployed, like hyper intelligent in some way, like conservative, like couch potato, I guess. And he's just like living in her apartment, and like she brings home these guys and like he like debates with them and like you know, like really like pushes buttons, and apparently everyone's like, I'm out. And so I said something to her, not very like articulately, though maybe I actually like said what was on my mind, but I said something like, well, I can't really see you and me lasting at all. But what I meant to say, what I sort of like ellipsed, was that like because of like your brother, like I don't think he and I would get along very well. But I didn't really say that. And she was like, she became all like sort of crestfallen, and like I was like, what? Oh no, I mean, like this is really awkward. And we were also like talking about how awkward it was. Both of us were like, this is so awkward, because the whole political discussion was really strange. It was just like we were on this sort of like carefree first date. It was very spontaneous, beautiful day in Union Square. And suddenly we were like arguing over like politics, and then the politics became like personal, and it was just like really, it was like we were headed back to the sushi place because they had forgotten to give us one of the sushis we ordered. So like she was like still very hungry. I was like, we just ate so much. And she was like, no, I have to go back. And so we like go back to the sushi place. I was like, so like, what's wrong? Like whatever. And she's like, well, I've never had someone just say on a first date, like, I can't really see you and me lasting. And I was like, yeah. I was like, well, no, I meant like because your brother, like not because of you, but like because like you take me home and I would like fight with your brother, and like I'm not very good at like arguing with like close-minded conservatives. Like, you know, it'd probably be a bad scene. And like and she was like, oh well, yeah, like, but he's fine, you know, and you don't, you know, it's not personal for him. He just likes like the intellect. We're like flirting again, just having like shallow conversation, and we like both go to the bathroom, which is like sort of in like the back of the restaurant, and we like kind of come out of the bathroom at the same time, and we like started making out, and we're making out like by the bathrooms in the back of the sushi place, and like It's kind of nice actually. Her personality was like she was like very sweet and kind of funny in a way, but then had these weird like sort of opinions and tastes and like weird, and so it was just like this weird thing. Obviously, I have like my side to it. Like she was being so weird, but like I'm sure I was being weird, and like kind of a dick. I was kind of a dick. That's really interesting that you're family friends. Like how do you know him? Like blah blah blah. Like that's what I should have been saying. But I was like. She was like, we're family friends, and I would like cut her off and be like, I don't care if you're family friends. Like, if my family friends were like, launching these wars and like lying and just being like an idiot, like, I wouldn't really be proud of that. It's interesting, like she could have easily also been like, shut up, dick, like, I'm leaving, But she was like, oh, like, can't we just like forget about this? And like, and it was just like weird. I was like, yeah, fine, only because I was just like, attracted to her. It was like all kind of ridiculous.